Welcome. So today we're going to be a bit more about the true endgame of Close Beta 2 or Maplestory 2, Close Beta 2. So for endgame, a lot of people were like thinking about going into 3.3k and then expecting to clear the boss, but you're probably going to be lacking of the damage. And people are talking about, oh, I probably need more attack, etc. But that's not all about that. So today we're going to cover up a little bit more to clarify a little bit more for people to understand what kind of stuff you need to actually do to gain the advantage of killing the boss or dealing a lot of damage. So if you open up the advanced sheet or advanced view, you're going to notice people are talking about piercing. Piercing, as you can see here, is a stat that you can get as a secondary or bonus attribute on your gear. It ignores a portion of the enemy's defense and perfect guard when attacking. So think of it as the boss has a certain amount of defense, and if you pierce the defense, you'll deal higher damage. And currently I have 10.3% piercing damage. I could get more, for example, I have a Cabo Greatsword, which is the weapon that you get from Balrog, but let's say I picked the Cruelty where I had 2.3%. It's not the cap, but it gives me more piercing. It would obviously give me more damage, right? So the trick here is you kind of want to focus on the highest piercing and damage versus boss stat on your bonus attribute of your weapon. As you see on the blue text, you want them to be on max, obviously, so having them on purple would obviously mean you have it at max. But the best weapon before you get the legendary weapon would be the shiny Balrog weapon. So not the one that you get from the box, but the shiny version of that. And since I didn't find any good bonus attributes for the Greatsword as a berserker, I just decided to attempt my weapons because people are selling Cruelty Greatsword. I just tried to attempt it to get it to plus 11. If you do manage to get plus 11, it's really great. It's not really that bad, I have to say. But if you do have a Balrog weapon, for example, and not the shiny version of it, which is the easier version of the weapon, that's also good as long as you get it to plus 10. So having plus 10 on the Balrog chest weapon, it's pretty high damage. Even though if you have lower piercing, the trigger effect gives you a 22% attack boost for 30 seconds. So imagine all your attacks being get granted, one extra blood price. So if you combine blood price, for example, with the Cabo Greatsword, you're gonna have 24% for 30 seconds. That's a lot of damage, and obviously you don't need to think too much about the piercing though. But yeah, plus 10 equals a plus 11 weapon that's having piercing and versus boss damage. So as you can see on my screen here, I have boss damage over here, increased damage dealt to boss. It's 11% more. Combine that with piercing, you'll have a really good percentile damage against the boss. So how do you get these? Obviously you want to have gear. I don't have that on my helmet, unfortunately, but this gives me enough it gives me enough gear score to at least attempt and have the entry level for it. But as you can see here, my necklace has bonus damage plus 2 against the boss. Plus 2 on the boss on the chest. You might think maybe shiny armor is probably better. It could be better, obviously, if you have the stats on the bonus attributes on both of them. Then it's probably better than having only one piece of it, which is the suit. But since I don't have that on my other gear, I prefer just wearing the suit because it has 2% more damage to the boss. Anything related to the armor will not give you any damage boost unless it's on the bonus attribute, obviously. Well, you could get some extra strength, for example, but it's better to have the percentile damage increase. For the cape, a lot of people are talking, either for Berserk at least, it's Balrog Wings, which is pretty good for melee, but the majority of the people went with the Obedience Cape, which is the PvP cape. I still feel like it's a little bit weird that we had to PvP to get a PvE item that will help us in the long end, but it's only available for 3 days. So playing, you have to think about it, like what days is it when I can raid, and then you want to buy the cape at that point to have it available for 3 more days. Mine expires in 31st at 6 p.m. So hopefully I will have enough raid experience and done a few attempts before this one wears out, and then I have to reform PvP, which is a bit tedious to do. Now, Balrog earrings. You could always have shiny earrings as well. I had Balrog earrings because it gave me the best stats currently, which is the damage against the boss. Belt, also something you could change. I just didn't have enough time to farm PvP to get the piercing belt, which you can still access from the arena shop. And the belt gives you 6% piercing, so that's even more damage if I do get the belt. Now, regarding the PvP, the higher rank you are, the higher weekly reward you can get before it resets. So if you're getting to gold, you can have access. If you manage to get 1.6k badges, you'll be able to buy both cape and the belt. But that's if you're lucky and not losing your rank. So good luck with that. But otherwise, every day try to aim for silver. That gives you 1k weekly reward, and you can buy at least 1 cape or 1 belt for that day. For gloves, we go with the heavy fruits, which you can obtain from Dark Descent. Getting that physical piercing gives you a lot of damage over here. And for the ring, you'll use anything that's with obviously piercing and damage against the boss. I was lucky enough to get the ring, Shiny Ferocity for it, and then obviously boots. You want to get anything as well related with piercing and damage to the boss. So if you do happen to get a gear and you're unsure if you're gonna +10 it or not, I would recommend to not +10 any of the armor unless you really need the gear score to meet the requirement. The only that boosts your damage is obviously your weapon to get to +10 or +11 or even higher. And then try to aim for the bonus attribute. That's the main or most important part doing this for the Cdev. So for the raid, you also want to go for souvenir buffs. You can get these by placing them at the house. Obviously you want to have piercing +4%. And I believe if you open up the furnishing, you should be able to see the thing by sorting it from all to souvenirs, and then you'll see these items that you get from trophy. You can, if you haven't unlocked it, you can see the trophy for it, what you need to do. But I would recommend the one with the, let's see, the Siren of Light, which gives you the piercing buff. Now that we covered everything up, we'll head to Chaos Raids, or we can head to our guild house. It's really up to you if you wanna, where you wanna parse your damage. I feel like Chaos Raid is easier due to having the dummy by itself and not having 2 extra dummy next to you. Let's see. So for my build, for as a berserker, I would recommend having the Death Spin maxed, have the Ground Breaker maxed. These two are going to be your main DPS skills. At least one on Void Slash, because there are some times where you need to dodge and you won't have enough stamina. Then having Void Slash there is kind of crucial. Bloodlust is just a filler. You don't really need to have it maxed because you're going to get one shot anyways. So what I would recommend is to max it anyways, because it's your filler DPS every 8 seconds. It deals higher damage obviously if you level it up. Blood Price is something you want to max out this time, and it's because of the flat 14% more damage for 1 minute, and you spam this every minute to combine with Death Spin, to combine with Groundbreaker, and yeah. Obviously you want to have Graceful Mastery as well, get it maxed for that 6.4% more damage. You could argue about having Deep Wounds, for example, if you go down further down, having Deep Wounds at level 3 or up, then your bleed will take 10% damage for 10 seconds. But I feel like placing bleed and such isn't really that of a great thing when I can just increase my my whole damage by 14% instead. And obviously having Earthquake, etc. But that's even more buttons to press. But for me, I feel like 2 buttons, including 1 extra button for every 8 seconds, and then 1 buff for every 1 minute. Yeah, let's start off doing the parsing, and you'll see on the left side over here, I'll place it above, you'll see how much damage I'll do. And let's start. So as you can see here, about 1 minute I did around 4.6 million, and after that 1 minute you'll just repeat with the blood price, but this time you're probably going to be dealing more damage if you haven't died yet and it's 100% uptime. Then you still have 10 stacks, you'll do the blood price, and obviously you still have the trigger from the Balrog weapon. If you do have a Balrog weapon, then you'll have the trigger that gives you 22% more damage for 30 seconds, and that's refreshing by itself every time you smash or attack or anything. So yeah, having roughly 4 million, I would say, is pretty good for your personal DPS. If it's 100% uptime, you shouldn't have any problem DPSing as a berserker, because the boss usually aims at the ranged or furthest away target when it comes to with the ghosts or with the shadows that one-shots you. Other than that, you just have to avoid AoEs on the floor, and you'll just dash through them. That's all you need to do. Just make sure that your party's coordinated. They're not like placing one party's over here and the other party's over here, and if he's casting 2 of these AoEs on both sides, you can't obviously dash through, because then you'll take the damage on the other side. So always make sure that your party is coordinated, being on one side only, so that you stack the AoEs, and then you'll be able to just dash through and DPS from the other side. Or have your knight to time in. For example, for the laser, then he can block for you, or if there's no block available, you'll spin around the boss then. Just make sure that you'll be on the area where he stops, or be on his back and then stop at where he started the laser, sort of, so you can just keep smashing, so you don't have to spin around all the time. But that's all I have to say about the raid for endgame in Maplestory 2, Close Beta 2. The raid is obviously Chaos Devorak. Hopefully you'll find your way out to dish out even more damage. Don't forget, obviously, buff items like Tin Whetstones, Special Warrior Tonics, etc. These are every 10 minutes, so you can refresh them. I mean, you have 50 minutes on you to kill the boss, so this should be enough to increase your damage as well. But this is just a flat damage that I showed you with my only buffs for myself, which is blood price. And, you know, just remember, always have your weapon to +10 or +11 plus, and aim for the piercing and aim for the damage versus boss, and you should be fine. And obviously practice. You'll probably want to enter a few more times before you want to go for the kill. Make sure to not die, because that's going to be a DPS loss, but yeah, practice as much as you can. That's the most important thing when it comes to raiding. Yeah, I'll see you guys on the next video. I'm not sure what I'll be covering there, but we'll see what happens. So thank you very much for watching, and good luck with your raiding.